debut of Daily Donno here on 5R Live on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Man, it is so good to be back. It is so good to be going live on this amazing platform, the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Bros, we're going to get into a lot today when it comes to Dolphins news, Miami Heat news. Training camp is in progress, day 2. I was about to say in Davie. That would have been a Freudian slip. They have that new $135 million practice facility in Miami Gardens adjacent to the stadium. So they are in progress down in Miami Gardens. We're going to get all the skinny on that at around 12:15 p.m. A great network contributor here on 5R Dolphins, Louis D. Sung, is going to join the program at 12:15. And guys, it would not be a show on the 5 Reasons Sports Network if we didn't throw the Miami Heat some love and throw the big daddy, the boss man, Ethan Skolnick, some love. So Ethan is going to be joining me at around 12:40 today. We got the whole cast, the whole crew. And man, guys, I mean, I just get to sit here behind this microphone and talk some crap for an hour every day, which I love. There's nothing I'd rather be doing. But there's so much more that makes this show go. We got my guy, Manny Chang, behind the scenes, pressing all kinds of buttons, doing God knows what back there in his man cave. He is fantastic. I've been working with Manny in various capacities for the last 10 years. I've known the guy freaking forever. Another guy I've known for a really long time, and I've worked with this man on a couple of different stops, and I am so happy that he's going to be part of the show with me, both doing a lot of things behind the scenes and doing a lot on the air. This is the man who convinces me I need to invest at least 30 minutes a week watching professional wrestling. Let's introduce Sean Stanley, who is in the house here as well on Daily Donno on 5 Reasons Live. And I always love, Sean, whenever I see this setup for you, man, yes, I always feel like you're doing the show from your closet. Like you've got like hats and clothes hanging. You got memorabilia, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I got my Don Shula signed football right there. See, I'm all for this. I'm ready to go here with the Donno Daily. I get to talk to you daily, and you get to hammer me out and try to get the underscore out of my Twitter handle, which will not happen, but we can fight about it every day now.
Guys, every time I work with Sean Stanley, when I first started working with him at 560, like 7 or 8 years ago, he had this like funky, crazy Twitter handle with way too many letters and symbols and stuff. I made him change it. And now I got a problem with Sean having an underscore in his Twitter handle. Like, dude, there's no bigger pet peeve of mine than someone rocking an underscore in the Twitter handle. So we're going to work on him. We're going to get Sean to change that at some point. By the way, as I see some people are always doing, and we love it, we appreciate it. You're watching us live on YouTube, man. Take advantage of the live chat feature. As long as you're signed into your Google account, you can chat with us live. One of the many things that Manny Chang does behind the scenes is he pops up some of the best messages up on the screen so we can read them. If you have any Dolphins, Heat, Canes question, whatever is on your mind, we can address some of those on the air as well. So it's nice to see Marquise is in. Oh, Ray Grullon, my buddy Ray is in. Devin Jordan is in. And guys, make sure you're watching us live right now on YouTube. A couple of things you need to do. Smash that like button, smash the thumbs up button, because that's going to finesse the algorithm. These videos are going to pop up in everybody's timeline. If they want to talk some South Florida sports, they're going to see what we're doing here. And make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons YouTube channel as well. There's so much great Dolphins, Heat, Canes content, combat sports content. I create some of that. Sean Stanley creates some of that. I do a lot of the MMA content. Sean is all over that goddamn pro wrestling.
Did you just go Ethan Skolnick on me? Did you try to call me Sean Staley?
There's something about Staley. Staley just rolls off the tongue so much better than Stanley does, man. I don't know what it is.
I mean, come on now. I know he's the big man here and everything, but we don't have to be just like Ethan Skolnick.
And by the way, I see we got our guy Adam Barai in the chat. Do me a favor, and I know, Adam, you're watching, and Manny and Sean behind the scenes. We got to get Adam booked on the program for Monday or Tuesday, because I'm seeing that there are some people out there who doubt that Adam Barai even exists. And I figure if we have him on live with us on an upcoming show, it's going to definitively prove the existence of Clutch Adam. Because this guy, he's out scooping, reporters who have been in the business 20, 30 years. Like Adam Barai is out scooping everybody. So we need to prove that he actually exists. Manny Chang already says he's on it, which I love. Man, so it's a whirlwind, guys. Training camp going on for the Miami Dolphins. I want to get into some Xavien Howard talk here. First, the statement that X made Tuesday night. And just so you know, the latest on Xavien Howard, he practiced in full yesterday with no limitations. He's not practicing today. And the official word is he's got a minor injury. I don't know if he pulled a tonsil and slipped in the shower, if he's got a hangnail, but he's not practicing today. So Xavien Howard sent this on his social media on Tuesday night. I've given my heart and soul to the Miami Dolphins franchise since they drafted me in 2016 and want to make it clear that I love my teammates. They are my family. But what I've learned is that the business side of the NFL proves organizations don't always have a player's best interest at heart. My experience with the Dolphins the past few seasons has taught me that. In 2018, I signed an extension that I'll admit I didn't completely understand or feel comfortable with. I played on that deal for 2 seasons and didn't complain, but everyone knows I've significantly outperformed that deal. I'm one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, and the tape backs up that claim. The assignments I've given, shadowing the opposition's best player with little help, proves my value, my worth. Yet, I'm the second highest paid cornerback on my own team, and it's not even close. I want to clear up a few misconceptions, he says, about my situation. My agent, David Cantor, and I have never once asked for a completely new contract. We wanted things to work out with the Dolphins and brought solutions to the table, like guaranteeing more money, but we felt we felt were win-wins for both sides, he said. These were proposals of adjustments that wouldn't just make me feel more respected, but were also cap-friendly, but the Dolphins refused everything we proposed. This is why I don't feel the organization has dealt with me in good faith. I don't feel valued or respected by the Dolphins. Just like they can take a business-first approach, so can I. That's why I want to make it clear I'm not happy and have requested a trade. Until that trade happens, I am just here so I don't get fined and will handle myself like professionals do. So it's not really a holdout. It's more of a sit-in. Now, before I get to my prediction and my hope for what happens here with Xavien Howard, I want to get into a couple of issues I have with him making that statement and the way he made it. First and foremost, I hope that before making that so public, I hope he sent those exact words multiple times to Dolphins management. Like, I hope he addressed those exact concerns in those words to Chris Grier and Brian Flores before going the nuclear option. And when you post a public statement like that, I refer to that as the nuclear option for an NFL player. Once you're going to that route and you start burning bridges with your club, who you are under contract with for another 4 years, I don't want him to burn bridges unless that's his only option left, okay? And with that statement that I just read from Xavien, here are some issues that I have with it, okay? When Xavien Howard signed his current contract 2 years ago, by the way, that made him the highest paid cornerback in football at that time. 5 years, $76.5 million, okay? So let's not act like he's making $500K per season. This narrative, and I get it, he is underpaid now relative to Maxwell and some of the other corners in the league, but this narrative that the Dolphins never respected him, it's an outright lie, okay? They made him the highest paid corner at that time, despite coming out of the 2018 season having injury concerns and a knee injury history already at that time. Then in the 2019 season, after signing that new contract, X missed 11 games that year due to injury, and he got arrested for domestic battery that December, okay? That is a disastrous season in my book. You only play in 5 games, you get arrested for domestic battery. That is not a great season, okay? He wants more money now after a great 2020 season where, yes, he did outperform the contract, but did he offer to give any money back after the Dolphins, to the Dolphins after a terrible, disastrous 2020? He did not. Now, what he said, by the way, this is the part of his statement that had a lot of people, myself included, scratching their head. What he said about not understanding the contract that he signed in 2019, okay, that's not the Dolphins' fault, my friend. That's your former agent's fault, and it's your fault for signing a deal you didn't fully understand. That's what your agent and the lawyers that assist your agent are supposed to do, okay? You probably should have left that out of the statement if we're being honest. Now, I'm sure he understood the direct deposit payments he was getting from the Dolphins every 2 weeks. He's mad that the Dolphins signed Byron Jones and drafted Noah Igbenogany. Okay, I get it. You want to feel respected. You don't want to see Jones making more money than you. I get that. But, you can understand why the Dolphins would want to bring in reinforcements after Xavien Howard missed 25 games his first 3 seasons. Can you blame them for wanting to go out there and getting insurance policies? Okay. He seems upset that the Dolphins are treating him like an employee and not like a blood relative. Okay, welcome to the National Football League. Now, I don't want to make it sound like, with everything that I'm saying, I don't want to make it sound like I am anti-player and anti-Xavien. I'm not. In fact, bros, I want Xavien Howard to be a Miami Dolphin. Is he going too nuclear, making this very public? Probably. Are the Dolphins being a little bit too hard-headed? Yeah, probably so, man, because, you look at the Benardrick McKinney restructure, which is going to save the Dolphins a little over $4 million this season under the cap. Armando Salguero from the Miami Herald reported late last night, early this morning, that one of the proposals that David Cantor, Xavien Howard's agent, and Xavien made to the Dolphins recently, apparently this happened right before training camp began, one of their proposals was a restructuring of the payments, not even additional money on the contract, where, hey, take some of the money that you were supposed to pay me in 2024, about $4 million extra dollars, take it away from 2024 and put it on my salary for 2021. And we can do that without affecting the total number of the contract. You're just sweetening the deal for me this year. Being completely honest, guys, that sounds somewhat reasonable to me. And now that the Dolphins have restructured Benardrick McKinney and saved about $4 million under the cap, my brain starts working. The hamsters and the wheels in my head start running. And I'm thinking, I wonder if the two of those things are related. Because here's my thing on Xavien Howard. Can he be a little bit childish? Absolutely. I haven't forgotten about that domestic battery arrest, even though at the end of the day, those charges were dropped. I want to say that to be fair. Those charges were dropped. I still haven't forgotten about that. But, guys, I am a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm not just someone who covers this team through the media. I am a Miami Dolphins fan. He was the best player on the goddamn team last year. Do I want my best player to be available and happy to be in a Miami Dolphins uniform this coming season when, according to the head coach and according to the general manager, they're not rebuilding anymore, right? I mean, everything that they said during minicamp was they're out of the rebuilding phase. They are now entering win now mode. And if you're in win now mode and you've got a 29-year-old cornerback who's the best in the league, arguably at that position, and the best player on your team, this team is better with Xavien on it than they are with Xavien Howard not on it, okay? And he's trying to work his leverage hard to get traded. And I'm sure he wants to get traded to a Super Bowl contender, right? I mean, for people talking about, hey, Xavien Howard is from Houston. Maybe this is the piece the Dolphins can use to unlock a Deshaun Watson trade with the Houston Texans. Well, one thing is, maybe it's just me. I don't want Deshaun Watson. Way too much baggage with that guy, way too many character concerns, and I'm still not convinced that these 22 accusers are going to magically disappear and go away. So I don't want Deshaun Watson's baggage here, right? I would rather stay the course and work things with Tua Tagovailoa. So if you do trade Xavien Howard, and I'm going to get a prediction in a couple minutes from Louis D. Sung, who's going to join us to talk some Dolphins, don't trade him for pennies on the dollar. Now, I actually trust this general manager. I trust the people running this Dolphins organization right now where, you remember the haul that they got in the Laramie Tunsil trade. Not to say you're going to get pieces that great because Laramie Tunsil was in his rookie deal and in his early 20s, where Xavien Howard is on a more expensive deal in his late 20s. But I know that my general manager is not going to settle for pennies on the dollar. I know they're not going to make this desperation trade where they get fleeced and they trade their best player for a mid-round draft pick. Now, people can throw out possibilities of high draft picks they may want to get for Xavien Howard, but I thought Kyle Krabs at DolphinsWire.com made an excellent point that if the Dolphins really are in win now mode, don't you want to get a great player in return, not just draft picks? Because you've been collecting draft picks these last few years, because these are pieces that help you years down the road. Don't you want to get a player or two that can help you right now? All right, guys, let's go out to the guest line and bring in our first guest in the history of this program. That's very exciting. I mean, maybe you can argue the technicalities, because we did a couple of pre-recorded test shows earlier this week. So some might claim that Alfredo Arteaga was actually the first guest on the show. We will let the courts decide that. But the first live guest in the history of this program is one of our great, great people covering the Miami Dolphins. Louis D. Sung, here from the 5 Reasons Sports Network, joins us. And Louis and I, we get along pretty well, even though we disagree on our pizza toppings. You knew I had to bring this up, Louis. He's a pineapple on pizza guy. I am a pizza purist. I love pineapple. I love pizza, just not together. And yet we still get along, man. How are you, Louis?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing so well, man. So first and foremost, I think the biggest news today is Xavien Howard is not practicing. They say it's a minor injury. Are you conspiracy minded? Do you think there's more to this story?
He's fine. He's not hurt. He's just playing the whole, I hurt myself, so I can't practice. And there's no way the doctors are going to be able to prove it. So if that's what he wants to do, fine. You know what? At the end of the day, when the season starts, he's going to have to play. Otherwise, he's not going to get that accrued season on his contract. So he's going to have to suck it up and get over it eventually.
What did you think about his the statement that he released? Because I thought it was very one-sided, and it was full of a lot of half-truths, right? When he talked about the way the Dolphins have treated him. Do you think that releasing that and releasing those words was the right tactical move for him to force a trade?
It was the right tactical move for the Dolphins. Not for him, but for the Dolphins, he looks pretty good now. Because let's be real about something. Number one, and this is something that Alfredo Arteaga pointed out the other night when he was on the extra yard with Kai and them, is that, first of all, Xavien Howard did not necessarily shadow the team's best wide receiver. And against the Buffalo Bills, that was Byron Jones, not him. So Xavien Howard is not a very good slot cornerback. So if you put Stephon Diggs in the slot, Howard's not going to follow him there. So there you go. That's point number one. Point number two, this whole concept of the fact that he basically said that I didn't understand what I was signing. I didn't realize what this was going to be. Okay, that doesn't make you look smart. It actually makes you look very, very dumb, because you had to put your pen to paper in order for it to qualify. So that's number two. Point number three, the idea that the Dolphins did it in bad faith. You signed the deal. You don't like the deal now. Okay, well, that's fine. Whatever. But they are not. What makes you think that they are obligated to give you what you want? I argue this point with Kai is that I don't feel like that he outplayed his contract. And here is why. When he signed it, as you mentioned just a few moments earlier, he became the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. He was signed to be the highest paid cornerback in NFL history at the time he signed it. So that means that he should be playing like he's the best cornerback in the NFL. Do you not think so? So basically, every time somebody starts making more than him, he's going to start griping and complaining that he's not being paid like he's the best in the league anymore. See, that's the problem. And when people start arguing about setting the precedent and, why do you care about the precedent? Well, that's why. The market is going to reset every time somebody makes a brand new contract.
Right.
So is he going to be the guy to set his own market every other year?
Well, and Louis, let me interject on that point, because for all these fans out there who say, who cares if you set a precedent? Well, I look at some of the best run organizations of the last 20, 30 years. You don't see the Patriots doing things like this, renegotiating every year or two. I mean, the times they renegotiated with Tom Brady, it was usually Brady actually spreading it out or taking less money so they could sign more players, not the opposite. I mean, maybe not in the last few years, but for several years, I always thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were the top organization for a long time in the NFL. And they always knew when to get rid of players, not to renegotiate with guys every couple of years. They never negotiated contracts during a season. So if you're looking at the way historically the best organizations in the NFL have run, they run things the way that the Dolphins are now trying to run things.
And that was actually, I'm really glad you brought that up because I'm going to give you an excellent example. And this is the example that I've been using ever since, again, Alfredo, brilliant football mind. I'm just going to say that. He brought up Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore with the New England Patriots has been griping about his contract for the past 2 seasons. He's still there. He's still playing. The Patriots seem to have no urgency to give this man a new contract. They're going to make him like, listen, play it, then we'll talk. So I don't see why the Dolphins should feel like this burning need to trade Xavien Howard, to consent to Xavien Howard, to basically give him whatever he wants. You signed the deal already. We'll talk about this later. You signed the deal in 2019. Your first year of your contract did not even kick in until 2020. The contract is essentially only 1 year old. We're not going to get into this right now. So right now he has 2 options. He can do this whole nonsense, oh, I'm injured, I can't actually play, which, by the way, no prospective team is actually going to buy. Like, I don't care what, because I have some folks that are saying that, oh, well, the agent's going to tell him, listen, he's only faking it because he wants out. Does that make him look better? Like, I don't feel like that would make him look better. It could make the argument like, listen, the longer he does this, the less you have to pay to get him. So maybe that's the angle they're going for. But either way, the Dolphins have no obligation to let him do anything. And by the way, if they can't prove that he has an injury, they can't put him on the injury report. So if he decides to wait out 5 weeks, then he doesn't get that accrued season on his contract and he gets to sit even longer. So it's not worth it. His best bet is to play. And then if he really does still want out and he's not willing to renegotiate after that, then we can discuss it. But right now, this is not the year. He has no leverage. That's why he's kicking and screaming so much.
So it sounds to me like you agree, and I agree as well with what Cap for Life just put on the group chat. He says, Finn's front office, hold your ground, stay the course.
Yes,
now
hold your ground. He has no leverage.
And we can agree that's the way you would handle it. That's the way I would like to handle it as well. But what's your prediction? Is that the way the Dolphins are going to handle this? Or do you think they might be behind the scenes working on a master trade? I wouldn't expect him to get the same sort of haul that Laramie Tunsil got for, age reasons and contract reasons. Laramie was early 20s in his rookie deal. Xavien Howard is not. But what's your prediction? Do the Dolphins stay the course and he's a Miami Dolphin for at least one more season? Or do you think he does get traded here?
I predict he's going to stay at least one more year because, like I said before, and the Dolphins have even said is like, we have no intention of fulfilling your trade request right now. And again, unless it is like a Laramie Tunsil type compensation, that's the only thing that would make me decide to part ways with him. Because right now, as it stands, they have him on a fairly decent team-friendly deal. This is a win now type of year. It doesn't help them to trade him now. If we can try to revisit this next year, again, I'll use the Stephon Gilmore argument. He's been complaining for 2 years, but he still goes to work and he still plays his best. And I honestly feel like that next year he'll be re-signing with the New England Patriots. So with the Dolphins, right now, X's feelings are hurt. He'll get over it. Wait until next year, and then we'll revisit this whole thing.
We're joined here by Louis D. Sung. I do want to get to some non-Xavien Howard related topics, but you know what we go right to? We go right to Tua Tagovailoa. Now we've got day 2 of camp in progress and day 1. Now I love Tua, but I get really tired of the Tua narratives, and I get really tired of people overreacting, good or bad, to one day of camp where, you have like the Tua truthers, the pro Tua people who just think this guy is Jesus. Talk, oh, look how much bigger he looks. And, oh, he threw a 65-yard bomb to Albert Wilson. He throws a couple touchdowns. Then you have the negative Tua guys who are like, well, the 65-yard bomb was underthrown and he threw 2 interceptions. It's like, oh, I don't know. And we've had plenty of Dolphins players in the last couple of decades that get overreacted towards. Ryan Tannehill was one of those guys, but I don't think that was even anywhere close to the Tua narrative. What are your realistic takeaways, Louis, from Tua Tagovailoa through minicamp, through the offseason, and now in these first couple days of training camp?
I feel like this is exactly where he should be. He's right on course to slowly work his way into becoming what we hope is the next Drew Brees, the left-handed Drew Brees. And again, when we make this comparison, you also have to consider the career trajectory. It took a long time for Drew Brees to become the Drew Brees that is the future Hall of Famer. So for us to be expecting him to be a superstar quarterback right off the bat, that's where it's unrealistic. To assume that he's going to bust because he's not playing right away is also an unrealistic expectation. It takes time for these guys to develop. I made the argument that when you are a gunslinger quarterback like Justin Herbert, you're going to find success quickly because when you can throw the ball so hard that defenses don't have time to react to you yet, you're going to find success early, but you're also going to make a lot more mistakes. And eventually what's going to happen is that Justin Herbert's going to start throwing some interceptions. They're going to start to catch on like, okay, this is how he does things. So maybe he still has a great season, but I'm not going to sit here and say that because Herbert is a gunslinger quarterback, maybe he's more exciting than Tua, but is he going to be better than Tua in the long term? I don't know that. There's a lot of big armed quarterbacks who start off great and then they kind of fall off later on in their career.
Joined here by Louis D. Sung from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Good reviews so far for Jalen Waddle. Do you think he's going to end up returning kicks and punts in addition to catching passes this year?
That all depends on how well he does in comparison to like Jakeem Grant. So as soon as Jakeem Grant is going to be back out there, he's still out there returning punts. With Preston Williams on the pup, Parker on the pup. Now Will Fuller is not feeling great right now, apparently. More of these fringe guys are going to get opportunities to play. And if they can stand out, then somebody might get a little bit of an edge. Maybe Grant might beat out Preston Williams because he's still injured, he can't play and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens on that front. But I will say that I'm concerned about Waddle being a returner because I still remember what happened when Preston Williams became a returner at that one point, and he ended up getting clobbered and he wound up not playing very much. So I get concerned when they start making your first round draft pick, who is supposed to be, I think he's going to be Tua's security blanket, at least in this upcoming year. So I wouldn't want him out there returning kicks and punts, honestly. Do I think he will? Honestly, I think he will because I don't expect Grant to make the roster, which hurts me because I'm a Jakeem Grant fan. But I think that he will.
Wow, so you're the one.
I'm the only one who doesn't call him 19 looking at the extra yard guys.
And you know what the thing about me with Jakeem Grant, we have a love-hate relationship. I like him as a returner. I cringe when he's on the field playing wide receiver. Like it just special teams wise, give me that Jakeem. Receiving wise, he's a liability.
I have said, and I've said this ever since I saw Jakeem Grant play, and I will continue to say it until the day he retires, is that I would love to see if you could get Jakeem Grant to basically become Darren Sproles. Seriously. Like if the concern is that he can't catch the ball when it's zinged to him, give him little pitches here, give him a little screen pass here, and let him just get the ball in his hands however you want it to. What if Darren Sproles was known for being that guy catching passes out of the backfield, making guys miss and making plays that way? He wasn't a wide receiver. He was a running back, but he was known for catching the football just from right there. So let Jakeem Grant try that. Let him try to become Darren Sproles. He's even got the same size profile as Darren Sproles.
Louis D. Sung with us here for the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So sticking with the offense for a second. Now, obviously with the wide receiving core, I do have with certain players injury concerns. I mean, we're already seeing these first couple of days, Devontae Parker and Will Fuller having issues. But when healthy, I love this receiving core, especially the speed guys. They're going to take the tops off of defenses. I think the offensive line is improving. Does this team have enough at the running back position, though, Louis, or with everything getting better around them, is that automatically going to open up things more for the running game?
Ultimately, the better offensive line will mean better running backs. That's just a thing of that's just reality. But do I feel like the Dolphins have enough talent at running back? I would have preferred if they could get their hands on somebody. I know that Michael from the Extra Yard wants Le'Veon Bell something fierce. I do not.
I don't either.
But we already have it. We have our own headache already. Thank you. We don't need to add another one. But there are other options out there if they really wanted to. I think Duke Johnson is still a free agent. If they really wanted to go and get him, I wouldn't mind a Frank Gore reunion. But that's just
I wouldn't either, man. I don't care how old he is. The guy can still play and he can still lead.
That's just my nostalgia talking. But if they really do want to stand pat then this basically boils down to how good is the offensive line. So far, we're hearing mixed reviews on Matt Skura. They're saying that Michael Dieter has an actual real shot at winning the center position. I don't know how I feel about that. But as far as the other positions, apparently Austin Jackson is showing improvement. I want to hear what's happening with Solomon Kinley. I want to hear what's going on with Liam Eichenberg. And I know DJ Fluker is not playing right now, so he's having his little issues. So I guess the right tackle right now would be Eichenberg with Robert Hunt. This is me speculating because I don't know for sure yet. I haven't actually had a chance to see it, and even if I did, I couldn't say anything. But
that's right. Yeah, well, what is it? The moratorium is till Saturday, right? Because Saturday is when fans can go in, and so everything the fans can see, the media is allowed to report on.
I don't even know if that's the case. So
really,
But we're limited on what we can say, and I understand. Listen, I get it. It's all part of the competition thing. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just glad to be able to go back and see it because it's been a long time, and I'm going to do my best to be there as many times as I can with my work schedule and stuff. But the main point is that I feel like if the offensive line can prove that they are improved, that they've gotten better, then the running back position will improve as well. It's going to be how would you say? It's a chain of events.
I got to ask you before we let you run for a way too early prediction on the upcoming 2021 season. I'm sure you've looked at the schedule. I'm sure you played the game we all play where you try to predict the wins and losses. How many games do you think this team is going to win? And of course, we all keep in mind 17 games this year. How many games are the Dolphins going to win in 2021?
I'm actually going to go with 10, which would probably put them in position to maybe make the wild card, but I'm not as much as I want this team to be improved. I think the notoriousness of this team is that they will find ways to make mistakes here and there. So just sorry, I'm kind of making things work here.
No, it's all good. I appreciate that.
So 10-7 is my official prediction, but hopefully they find ways to beat some teams they shouldn't and find ways to beat the teams that they should. So that's all I'm going to say. 10-7 is my official prediction.
Well, good stuff as always. Make sure everyone is checking out Lewis's work. Lewis, let the people know, man, where they can find you, social media, all the platforms you're on, in addition to 5 Reasons Sports. Where can people get the full Lewis Sung experience?
So I have my own show on 5 Reasons Sports called Pulse of Fins Nation, where basically the fan base gets to dictate what I talk about. So I will find comments and I will read your comments as we go along. And also you can find me on Twitter at Louis D. Sung. That's Luis, the letter D, Sung. So that's where my official Twitter account is. And I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'm going to be going to training camp on Saturday. So you guys can follow my updates from there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this season, and I can't wait to join you again here on the Donno Show.
By the way, is Saturday going to be the very first time you see the new facility, or have you taken a tour or checked it out in minicamp or anything? Because I'm looking forward to getting down there.
It's going to be the first time, so I'm looking forward to it. I'll admit that when I saw the slide, I was kind of scratching my head, but then I also had this weird temptation to kind of try to go down it myself. Not that I will, because that's unprofessional, but I can't deny the appeal that it brings.
Well, good stuff, man. Louis Sung, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to following you on Twitter and everything during Saturday when you're out there.
All right, you too, man.
Love it. Good stuff there. The man, he's multitasking. He's making it happen. I should have asked him what that curtain was separating him from, because at one point a man emerges from the other side of the curtain, and Louis looked a little uncomfortable. What is going on here? So I hope everything's all right there. But that was fantastic job there by Louis Sung. People in the live chat are getting in their predictions for the Dolphins. 12 wins predicted by Ray, 11-6 by Cap for Life. Sean Stanley, I know this is going to sound super boring because I don't want to make people think I'm copying Louis Sung, but my prediction, I made this publicly. I think it was back on Onside Radio, the second the schedule came out. And I have, much like Louis Sung, I have predicted 10 wins, which would be 10-7 this year. And I think the Dolphins are going to have the same little problem that they had last year, where in the AFC, even with the extra game, 10 wins is going to have you right on the cusp of playoff position. I think Buffalo's going to win the division again, not Miami. So 10 wins is going to have you in that wild card chase.
Yeah, I think 10 wins will have you in the wild card chase. But also when you look at, we got Jacksonville in London. There's a lot of winnable games on there. I could see us going, even up to 11, but I could also see us losing a couple that we should win and ending up with 8 or 9 as well.
Yeah, right. That sounds like a Miami Hurricanes problem as well, because every time I go through like the Cane schedule, and just so everyone knows, we'll go through the full Cane schedule another day, but I've got the Miami Hurricanes winning 10 games and the Dolphins winning 10 games. But you know what always happens with Miami? They're going to win a game or two that you're maybe not expecting. I don't think Alabama will be one of those wins, but they're going to win a game or two you might not be expecting. But then they're going to, they're going to lose to one of those, to one of those mid-tier ACC coastal teams that you're not expecting them to lose to. So it's just been the saga of my life, man. And Sean, something when we were talking Tua Tagovailoa with Lewis, I get it. Like, I get why there's so much Tua hysteria. This is a player that not only did all of us want on draft night a couple of years ago, but we had been anticipating Tua's arrival for more than a year before that, right? I mean, ever since
it was tank for Tua. It was tank for Tua for a year and a half before that. Yeah.
Yeah, coming out of Adam Gase's final season when Stephen Ross, some people thought he was saying we're going to tank. I just thought he was saying we're going to rebuild and blow it up and start over again. Maybe to some people that means the same thing. But we were for over a goddamn year anticipating Tua Tagovailoa. You missed out on the number 1 pick. You got him at number 5, which felt like a miracle at that time. And
Alex, even with the hip injury, he goes down with a hip injury, and we're still going, we want Tua. We don't even know if the guy's going to be able to walk again, and we want Tua. That's the guy we want.
And that's why, honestly, I'm going into year 2 like it's his rookie year. Like, and I like Tua. I'm going to tell you that I'm not Tua biased. Like, some folks just already think this guy is the second coming. Like, I'm not Tua biased, but to be fair to him and to this entire team, because he was throwing to, as my friend Tito Benach always says, he was throwing to Geek Squad employees in his receiving core for most of last year. Coming off a hip injury, like, I am going into year 2 looking like this is the actual rookie year for Tua Tagovailoa, because right now, days 1 and 2 of training camp, Tua is actually 100%, and he's able to go through all of his reps, just thinking about the playbook, not thinking about rehabbing a hip, because a year ago at this time, Tua was not 100%. Tua was not 100% in the first, several weeks of training camp. In fact, when Tua was announced the starting quarterback in October, we weren't sure if he was physically ready to take on that responsibility yet. So I am taking a wait and see approach, man. And I'm not going to overjudge or underjudge based on anything that happens in training camp. Because, Sean, I'll give you an example, okay? Haven't done this in a couple of years, but for a 4 or 5 year span, I was an everyday beat reporter on the Miami Dolphins, which meant I went to every practice during the season. I went to every training camp practice. And I can remember I think it was 2017 when Jay Cutler arrived. Remember, Ryan Tannehill got hurt. They brought in the emergency Jay Cutler out of retirement, although he didn't give his body the memo that he was out of retirement because he was still treating his body like he was in retirement. But they get Jay Cutler on an emergency $10 million one-season deal. And I was at the first Jay Cutler practice in a Miami Dolphins uniform, and he was spectacular. Like, I'm telling you, Jay Cutler in his first Miami Dolphins practice, I hadn't seen just in practice purely arm strength. Years covering the Miami Dolphins, I hadn't seen a practice arm like that since the guy who used to wear the number 13. That was how I felt about Jay Cutler first practice. I'm like, my God, this guy has a gun. Now, I was used to watching Ryan Tannehill for a few years at that point. So by comparison, it was a whole different thing with the arm. But I was like enamored by Jay Cutler, his first week in pads as a Miami Dolphins player. And then he ended up being shambolic in the regular season. Like, you could just tell Jay Cutler was out there just trying not to get hurt. Like, oh my God, I'm taking home $10 million to Christian Cavallari, who has since divorced him, by the way, but he was all worried about getting that money, was not worried whatsoever about making plays.
Yeah, he was playing more for cigarette breaks. He wanted to get out and get the cigarette break and everything else, and then get that reality money. And that's all that was. That's all Jay Cutler was for.
Oh my God. All right. We're going to go back out to the guest line, and we're going to bring in the boss man himself. And I have to offer this guy huge thanks for making this happen, for giving us the platform. Ethan J. Skolnick from the 5 Reasons Sports Network is with us. Ethan, how you doing, sir?
Can't figure out my camera, Alex. I know that's a surprise. You want to see how this works? You ready? This is the boss. This is the boss. There you go. That's the boss.
I just logged in. Yeah, I just logged into the private chat to see if Ethan was ready, and the first thing I see is a message from Ethan that says my camera is backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's my life is backwards. It's good to be with you. As I knew you would just sort of jump off with a running start here. I just, before we get into, I know we want to talk Heat, and I'm going to let you actually run your own show because Sean's used to me taking over other people's shows. But I do want to say for people who are watching, this is a little different for us. We've done podcasts. Obviously, Alex hosts Five Rings Canes. We have the night programming with all the streams that will still run. In fact, we have a draft show tonight with Clutch Corner and Five on the Floor. But doing daily live local is a little bit of a departure for us. And so, you're the guy we wanted you to start with, and then we'll be adding programming from here. But that's kind of the direction we're going. So people are wondering, how is this different from what we were doing? What's different is you're going to be talking all sports, a lot of Miami sports for an hour every day. That's not something we've typically done at Five Reasons in the 3 years since we started it. So.
And 40 minutes in, I'm having a blast already, and I'm so glad that people are thanking Ethan in the chat, and I know that Manny and Sean and everybody involved are appreciative, and I know that the Peanut Gallery are anxious to talk some Heat, but I have to make you guys simmer on that for a second, because I do want Ethan, I want your take on this Xavien Howard situation, from the statement he made to what you think the Dolphins should do with him now.
Well, it's a little bit of a strange situation because I know his agent. I covered the Dolphins before I covered the Heat, and so I kind of know what David Cantor's trying to do here. I just think it was really clunkily executed, if that's a word. The statement to me does not engender support for Xavien Howard. And I polled it yesterday on our Twitter account, and 70% said they're less sympathetic to Howard than they were prior to the statement. I'm typically a player's guy. But again, saying you didn't understand the contract at the time, that's not the Dolphins' problem. And also, the one line in there, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Thanks, Marshawn. I don't think. If you're trying, a lot of these negotiations are about public support. There's always a certain point where the owner can't take it anymore and makes a panic move or tells his GM to make a panic move. He didn't engender support for himself. In fact, I think that he engendered support for the Dolphins position. When you can make a case that Howard maybe deserves some sort of a restructure, you could look at it. Again, if you're going to give guaranteed money, that's going to smooth things over for the cap for the Dolphins. But I don't think that this helped him in any regard. And to me, if I'm the Dolphins, and I know he's sitting out with a minor injury today, if I'm the Dolphins, I just sit tight. I don't feel like they have to do anything. I would not make a panic move, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Again, I know what Cantor's trying to do, but remember, David has not had good dealings with the Dolphins at times in the past. You take a look at the situation with Olivier Vernon. There were a couple of others. There are some that are perceived as maybe more Dolphin-friendly agents that are in the market, some of which you know. In this case, I don't necessarily know that this is going to lead to a good outcome.
That's well said. NBA draft is coming up tonight. Ethan, how busy do you think all of the great NBA reporters and writers from 5R are going to be? Do you think Pat Riley is going to get the Heat a pick or two tonight, or are we going to end up going through 2 rounds with no Miami Heat picks the way things are scheduled right now?
I would be surprised if they get a pick. I would not be surprised if they add a couple of players who we end up talking about in the future. Riley made that pretty clear that, even if they don't have picks, that they have targeted guys, after the draft. And, if you go back a few years ago, whether it was a Tyler Johnson, who I know became a punchline, but at the time he was a big success story. You look at the Tyler Johnson situation, they targeted him in the draft. They thought about acquiring a pick, but he had a terrible camp at Portsmouth, one of the camps that the players go to. And so they had a feeling he would slip through the cracks, and they were able to sign him. Duncan Robinson, our guy Greg Sylvander, right? Liar Leaf, who tends to know everything that's going on with the team. Leif reported that Duncan Robinson was a Heat target on that draft night, and they ended up acquiring him. He also reported last year that Max Strus was a player that the Heat liked. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with a couple of players that we're talking about in the future, but I would not anticipate tonight that there's going to be a trade for a pick. I don't think that's the direction they go. At least not a pick now.
Right.
Now, I do know that Riley and Andy have been looking around the league to get picks because you need picks. This is the whole problem with the Heat philosophy, is that it's one thing to say that you don't want to just keep bringing in young players that you've got to develop, but these days picks are currency. It's not necessarily about the player you get. For teams that are trying to contend, it's about the disgruntled superstar that you have to have enough picks to be able to send to that team to acquire that player. And so now the Heat are in, right? That's all it is. And so now the Heat are in. That's what happened with Harden. Okay, that's what really happened. It wasn't about Hero and Robinson and not wanting to trade Tyler for James Harden. That was ridiculous. It was about not having the currency of all the swaps, of all the picks that they could do. So now you have a situation where all of these potential Heat targets, guys we've been talking about for the past couple of years, are now sort of available, right? Dame's going to make it clear, our understanding over the next week, that he wants out, okay? You've got Dame. You've got Bradley Beal. A lot of smoke there, okay? And David Aldridge writing kind of the getaway piece for Bradley Beal. Well, that's Beal's guy. Always look at the reporter that they're talking to. When Lillard talked to Chris Haynes, stuff gets out through certain reporters. It's because the player wants it out there, okay? Like the same will happen with Xavien Howard, okay, down here. That's what these guys do. You know that. So basically you've got Lillard, you've got Beal, you've got these players around. You've got a Sexton, right, who there's some interest in. You got we've talked about, Brandon Ingram, okay? And I can confirm Adam's reporting on that. Brandon Ingram would like to play in Miami. So you've got all of these situations, but you don't have pick currency. So this is about trying to get pick currency. So could they trade for a future first tonight? Maybe, okay? And then that first gets flipped for something else as we move into trade and free agency season. I think that's more likely than targeting a particular player tonight.
You know, I saw a report this week that was trying to link Ben Simmons to Miami. Can you please debunk? Because I had a minor panic attack when I saw it.
Well, here's the only reason I gave it even the slightest bit of credibility is because Sam Amick with a K at the end is a personal friend of mine, but he's also one of the really responsible national media guys. Okay, but with that being said, no. Okay, I mean, I think even if Pat has a fascination with Ben Simmons, and he's the type of player he would have a fascination with, Pat likes versatile, tall, point guard. I mean, he did coach a 6'9" point guard in LA for a little while, right?
I've heard of him, yeah.
He made a run at Lamar Odom like 4 times before he got him, and he thought Lamar could be a point guard at one stage. Like, the Ben Simmons fits his profile. Jimmy's not playing with Ben Simmons again.
No.
Okay, so you have to think about everything this offseason in the Jimmy Butler context. Bam Adebayo second, but Jimmy first, okay? Jimmy is going to have a say in the direction that they go. This is a big reason for the Kyle Lowry fascination, which we've been talking about now for more than a year. That's somebody he would like to play with. Don't be surprised if TJ McConnell Greg's talked about this a lot, comes down here on short money. They're going to build a team that Jimmy's comfortable with. This whole thing is about Jimmy and Bam, and that's it, okay? Everybody else could be let go, signed and traded, Jimmy and Bam. And I do believe, if you were to say to me, is Kyle Lowry going to be in a Heat uniform next year, I would say yes.
Ooh, okay, well, let's elaborate on that, because our own Adam Barai reported that he's looking for a 3-year, $90 million deal. He is 35. And by the way, Barai's report, I then later saw reported by other folks, confirmed by other folks. So he is so on his game, it's not even funny. Concerned at all about giving that many years and that much money to a 35-year-old?
Well, Adam also clarified with us, and yes, Barry and others did report it after, and it's a credible report. Adam did report with us that he doesn't. It might not necessarily be 3 for $90 for the Heat. Okay, that there are certain teams that it would be 3 for $90. That's what you ask for, but I think the ability to play with Jimmy, who, again, this is the godfather to a child, okay? This is not just like a passing, we sat on a bus at the Olympics relationship. This is basically Jimmy's closest friend in the entire league, okay? That to play here with him, I do think you could be looking at something shorter, 2 years plus a team op, maybe. We know that the Heat like those team options. They did it with Myers Leonard, which I know a lot of people had the problem with that contract, but they did it also with Iguodala and with Dragic for the express purpose of being able to possibly move them, because you can opt into that money in the third year, and then that contract becomes tradable to reach a certain number to acquire a player that has a bigger contract. So I think that giving, Lowry maybe it's 2 for $55 that's guaranteed, and then the third year becomes a team option. I could see something in that space. Now, is it worth it? It depends where you think they are in the East hierarchy. It's worth it to keep Jimmy happy. It's worth it to give Bam a real point guard to set him up, because I believe he needs that. I think that, and he also needs a point guard who's been there, who can tell Bam during a game, we're giving you the damn ball, score. I don't think they have that guy on this roster. It's not really Goran's personality, but also, let's just be honest with Goran, and nobody is more respectful towards Goran's tenure than me. No one appreciates him more, but Goran is not a full-time starter anymore. We know that, right? So to me, the only two guys in the free agent market who would be able to do that with with Bam are Lowry and Conley. That's it. And it's more Lowry's personality than Conley's. So from that aspect, from getting the most, not just in terms of making Jimmy happy, but getting the most out of Bam, it makes sense. Are people going to be annoyed about the contract in a year or two, Alex? Maybe. But that's a chance you got to take. That's just kind of where you're at.
I totally agree. By the way, can you confirm, because I think we do have him booked for early next week, can you confirm that Adam Barai is a real person? Because I saw that there are some folks questioning or doubting that. I've spoken to him on the phone before.
Yes,
that could have easily been Ethan Skolnick doing a voice, so I haven't done a face-to-face with him. Can you confirm he's real?
I've never actually met Adam, as is the case with about half of the people in our network. So I don't know. I've only met Greg once, I guess, because he covered for us at All-Star. I can confirm though that he has more Twitter accounts than any person I've ever met, and I'm going to keep outing every single one of them because it's annoying when he tweets responses to his own stuff. So there's enough fakes of me, but he's actually creating his own fakes. So, but I do believe he exists. But I actually was with someone last night who works inside the Heat organization who told me that there are people who have asked him. He knows it's a real person because he knows me. Who have asked him if Adam Barai actually exists or it's just a pseudonym for me. It is not. The other person who exists, by the way, is Brady Hawk. Although sometimes that's a little hard to believe since he's.
I had him on video on Monday. I know he's real.
He's met me over at Quarter Deck, which is our sponsor right here on 17th Street, which is where I was last night, by the way, Alex.
I saw that. That's so cool.
Try the dragon roll and get the chicken franchise. Happy 45th birthday, Chandel. But what I would say is Brady is real, and yet, incredible. I don't think there's anybody doing better written work on the Heat right now, to be honest. So, and that's one of the reasons I won't write again, because I don't want to be upstaged by a 17-year-old. But that's where we're at.
Now, last thing before we wrap it up with you, you're a little older than me, but you're a lot less washed than me. How late? What's the latest Ethan Skolnick stays up to watch the start of a Team USA basketball game? Like a 12:30 start time? Where do you? Because I draw the line, Ethan, at like a 9:30 start. What's the latest you stay up for that?
They're not really. I'm up late anyway. I don't really sleep unless I get that CBD from Therapist Preferred. Use the code 5 Reasons, 25% off. Look how I've turned into a radio guy.
Beautiful.
I will just say that I don't really sleep more than 3 hours a night. If I'm going to stay up past 12, it's going to be for a different reason than that. I'll just leave it there.
Could be any of 5 reasons to stay up.
That's any of 5 reasons. That's right. That's exactly right.
He's Ethan Skolnick. You know where to find him. Of course, he's either tweeting from the 5 Reasons Sports account or from Ethan J. Skolnick. Ethan, thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Teach me how to find Adam Barai, though. You know how to find me. Everybody knows how to find me. Teach me how to find him. Thanks, Alex. It's going to be a great
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, well, and let me ask Sean Stanley, because I know, Sean, you and Manny have been working behind the scenes, because I did see an Adam Barai appearance in the chat. Have we been able to book him for a show next week? Because I think we're already booked for tomorrow, but maybe Monday or Tuesday. I want to see if there's an actual human being behind that account.
I am on the same page as you. I'm hoping there is a person there as well. I know he's on Twitter quite a bit. I know that much. He's always there, and apparently he's been contacted.
Okay.
So we will see.
By the way, a couple
we'll
things.
See if it pops up on screen, or if it's just a shadow.
Couple things I want to get into before we close out this episode. Sean, are you a fan of the show Better Call Saul? Because listen, I don't like it as much as Breaking Bad, which may be the GOAT. Like Breaking Bad to me, it's right up there with The Sopranos and The Wire. Those are probably my three favorite shows of all time: Sopranos, The Wire, Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul, spinoff of Breaking Bad. It's not quite as good, but it's pretty goddamn close. Are you a fan of Better Call Saul?
I've never watched it.
Oh my God. Better Call Saul is in the news, and it's not for the best reason. I've got to wish, man, my sincere, heartfelt prayers and best wishes to Bob Odenkirk and his family. Bob Odenkirk, he is the man behind Saul Goodman / Jimmy McGill. Unbelievable actor. I mean, I remember years ago, this guy did like guest spots on like every sitcom, had like story arcs in How I Met Your Mother, was all over these shows. Yeah, and even like the first couple of seasons when he was on Breaking Bad, he was a little bit goofy. There wasn't a whole lot of depth to the Saul Goodman character. But what they do with the Saul Goodman character on Better Call Saul, you realize what an incredible actor Bob Odenkirk is. The same way before Breaking Bad, I didn't realize how good of an actor Bryan Cranston was, because I thought of him as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. Like I didn't think, and Tim Watley from Seinfeld. I didn't think this guy could really act. But Bob Odenkirk, they've been on the set filming the 6th and final season of Better Call Saul, and he actually collapsed the other day and had a heart attack. And when I saw it, horrific. And the good news is he is in a hospital recovering, and a spokesperson from Better Call Saul said, "We can confirm that Bob is in stable condition after experiencing a heart-related incident." Reps for the actor said in a statement Wednesday afternoon, he and his family would like to express gratitude for the incredible doctors and nurses looking after him, as well as his cast crew and producers who have stayed by his side. The Odenkirks would also like to thank everyone for the outpouring of well wishes and ask for their privacy at this time as Bob works on his recovery. He's 58 years old. His son also came out and said that he's doing fine. Obviously this is not the first thing that should be on anyone's mind, but I'm pretty sure they're eventually going to wrap up the final season of Better Call Saul, but the show's going to be delayed a bit, which is okay. Of course, his health is the most important thing. But Sean, this gives you now the opportunity, because you're probably going to have God knows how long before the final season. Yes. You've got to go on and have an old-fashioned binge, sir.
I'll binge watch it. I'll order me a pineapple pizza and sit there and watch the whole thing.
And, I see another story, sports related. This is pretty crazy. So Barstool Sports, they are going to not only sponsor, but broadcast a college football bowl game. Now, it's not like one of the big ones. They're not taking over the Fiesta Bowl or anything like that. But Barstool Sports are going to be sponsoring the Arizona Bowl. I had no clue this even existed, the Arizona Bowl. The Arizona Bowl is it pits a Mountain West team against a representative from the Mid-American Conference on December 31st. I can think of 100 different ways I would spend my New Year's Eve, but the Arizona Bowl, I've never watched it before, but I'm probably going to check it out for a little bit just to see how Barstool handles this, because it's not only, they said it's going to be broadcast through their platform, so I'm guessing that means some kind of an online stream, not even a television broadcast, but they're going to be in control of broadcast and production. So I want to see just how much they barstool this broadcast up. Like, is it going to be just a bunch of mansplaining every play? Is there going to be foul language on the Arizona Bowl broadcast? Like, I'll tell you, man, I'm curious enough, Sean, to at least check that out for a quarter or two.
Yeah, they might even mic up the coaches. If they're just going to let it go, they could have, the coaches mic'd up, and then you can hear them on the sideline arguing with the refs and everything else. Might do some stuff. I mean, you saw what happened with the XFL with some of the camera angles, some of the things the NFL took. Maybe they'll come up with some good ideas.
Yeah, people forget the XFL invented the Skycam. The camera on the wire. That did not exist before the original XFL, not the one from a couple of years ago, but the original XFL 2001, they had their only season, and you had never seen on a football broadcast before that camera on the wire that gives you that kind of video game angle. That was actually invented by the XFL and then stolen by college football and the NFL and everybody after that, man.
God bless Vince McMahon.
God bless him.
Yeah.
And I know And Sean, by the way, let people know where they can find your pro wrestling content because the 5 Reasons Sports family is growing so much with combat sports, and you and Jakari and Jonathan do an awesome job with the pro wrestling stuff. Let people know where they can find that.
Yeah, every Thursday night, it's right here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. It's called One Fall. We talk everything pro wrestling from AEW, WWE, and we even go some to the indies and Ring of Honor and some other things. We get into some in-depth conversations. It's myself, Jakari Givens, and Jonathan Ramlakan. Check it out. One Fall every Thursday night, 9 p.m. right here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel.
Love it. And guys, remember, this show is daily. Donno Daily every day. This was the first official episode. I know it's weird that we kicked it off on a Thursday, but I've been traveling this week. I'm actually broadcasting from a hotel right now. I'm going to be heading down to the pool and doing some day drinking in about 5 minutes. So this is going to be awesome. We're on tomorrow as well. Every weekday from noon until 1 p.m. here on 5 Reasons YouTube. There's going to be an audio podcast going up for all these episodes as well. And I also do combat sports content here on 5 Reasons Sports Thursday nights with James Walker and Frank Zaffrey. And guys, I am humbled by all the support we're getting on social media and on the live chat. I want to shout out a few folks, but I know others will be angry for not shouting them out. Like I saw my friend from the soccer content that I do, Mario Galliano, was in. Jeffrey Stills, Sharif Watson. Oh, our friends Solo D and Stephen D from Miami Sports Music are in. We love you guys so much. We thank you for everything. Okay, Welch, Marquise in Miami. I could go on, and I know I'm just going to make the people I leave out feel angry. And guys, make sure you support our great sponsors as well. We're going to have some more coming aboard very soon, but the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, they are the title sponsor for this program. There are so many things I love about the Quarterdeck. The buffalo shrimp is my favorite appetizer on the planet. I love the fresh seafood. The sushi is so good at the Quarterdeck. The cocktails will cure all of your ails, and the beer is always cold at the Quarterdeck. And the most important thing to remember, guys, because I know we're always looking for places to watch these, every time there's a UFC pay-per-view fight, you can go to any Quarterdeck location and you can watch these UFC pay-per-views for zero cover charge. You will pay nothing at the door while you enjoy the delicious food and drink specials during every UFC pay-per-view fight. And make sure you save at least a little bit of room for dessert, because the key lime cheesecake, it is the perfect way to finish every meal. And the next time I go out there, I'm going to try. I was there with Frank Zaffrey a couple days ago, and he was eating the Italian beef sandwich, and it looks so good. So I'm going to try that the next time that I'm at the Quarterdeck. If you want to peep their menu, my friends, and if you want to find the location nearest to you, locations all over Broward County, go to quarterdeckrestaurants.com. You can pull up the menu. I like to decide what I'm going to eat before I even get there, and then I change my mind 5 or 6 times probably. But find the location nearest to you, quarterdeckrestaurants.com, quarterdeckrestaurants.com, I should say. The Quarterdeck. Come for the food, stay for the fun. So huge thanks to Lewis and Ethan for joining us. Huge shout out to Manny Chang behind the scenes, and Sean Stanley broadcasting from the closet with the Don Shula football prominently displayed behind his head. We will talk to you guys again tomorrow, 12 noon on Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.